Welcome to the Voice of Truth, guys. Thanks for coming back and joining in. You came back to see because we're in this great verse here, these great verses in the Gospel of John. You remember what we talked about on Monday, WWJD, come and see. I'm changing it around to WWJS, what would Jesus see? Let's read these verses again and then just kind of jump in. The next day, I'm in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 43. The next day, he decided to go to Galilee. This is Jesus. And he found Philip, and Jesus said to him, "Follow me." Now, Philip was from Bethsaida, and the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him of whom Moses wrote in the law, and the prophets also wrote, Jesus, the son of Joseph from Nazareth." Nathanael said to him, "Can any good thing be from Nazareth?" Philip said to him, "Come and see." I mean, what a statement. And remember, they've been waiting for Messiah for so long, and he's skeptical. And, if I'd waited thousands of years, Nathanael's life, you're like, yeah, we've heard this before. On and on and on, we've heard this before. But the thing is, guys, and we kind of talked about this going back a few weeks ago to the blind man in John's Gospel also. About their eyes being closed. Jesus opened some and some of the other eyes were closed. And the thing is, and I want us to get this point here, guys, is we have closed our eyes. Awake unto righteousness. I remember Mom used to come upstairs and wake me up. And during that time of year when it's still dark outside and she's waking you up at 6 o'clock in the morning and it doesn't get daylight till 7:30. I'm talking in the wintertime, and I didn't want to get up, and then she would come and turn the lights on, and we would just say, "Oh my gosh, it's too bright." We'd cover her head and all of that stuff. That's what we've done. In Mark's gospel, I'll say this: Jesus heals a leper. Go in Mark's gospel in the first chapter. Jesus heals a leper. The leper comes to him, "If you will, you can make me whole." And Jesus, "I will, be clean, be whole." Jesus tells the guy, don't spread this around, but the guy does. Who wouldn't, right? And it says from that time on, Jesus could no more enter the city. And that's the way it is. We like a distant relationship with God. I remember Dad telling me one time when he was reading about, I believe it was the prophet Elijah, and when he come in and they built a little room on the house. And he says, that's how we have it with God. We want a little room. We don't want him right here. We want a little room for him over there. We want him in the back of the boat. We want him on the outside. Now we jump up and down and we say, "Oh God, you're in this service." But we really don't, because we're scared of him. And for all this time, always he says, "Fear not." We think we're running and jumping into his arms, but we are not. We want to keep him at a distance. And he understands that. Here's Nathanael. He's skeptical. And I get it. I'm skeptical. We all are. We have closed our eyes. And, I'm going to use this word here. I'm going to call it outlook. What is your outlook? And outlook is I'm sitting here. There's a window. I'm sitting here looking out. What do I see? I'm looking out into the world. What do I see with all the stuff that's going on? What do you see? Do you see chaos? Do you see pain? Do you see fear? Do you see hurt? Do you see war, despair, death? What is it that you see? Now remember, we've changed this from what would Jesus do to what would Jesus see. And, the word of the Lord, I go back to the scriptures, the word of the Lord comes to Jeremiah, and he asks Jeremiah, "Jeremiah, what do you see?" And Jeremiah says, "I see the branch of an almond tree." And he says, "You have seen well, and I'm watching over my word to perform it." Jeremiah 1, and he asks him again, "What do you see?" And I says, "I see a boiling pot facing away from the north." In other words, judgment, chaos is coming. What do you see? What do you see? And, it's come and see. Come and see. Abraham is told, I'm just giving you a few verses here. Abraham is told all the way back here in Genesis chapter 13, verse 14 and 15. And the Lord said to Abraham after Lot had separated from him, now raise your eyes and look from the place where you are. Raise your eyes from where you are and look. Raise your eyes and look. And he goes on to say, northward, southward, eastward, westward, for all the land which you see, I will give you. What you see, I will give you, and to your descendants forever. I mean, think about that. What you see, I will give to you. What do you see? He had to lift up his eyes. In Psalm 121, verse 1 and 2, it says, I will raise my eyes to the mountains. And then here's a question, from where will my help come? Verse 2 says, my help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. I will raise my eyes. Abraham, raise up your eyes. This verse tells us automatically that we're not looking in the right place, right? Our eyes are down. Our eyes are cast down. We're looking down. We're in the darkness. We're not seeing. Raise up your eyes and see. Nathanael, come and see. Can any good thing come out of Nazareth? Come and see. But the story here, at its core, back here in John's Gospel, is not about what Nathanael sees. I want you to get this. It's about what Jesus sees. We love him because he first loved us. I can go ahead and say this. We see him because he first sees us. See, it's a story about Jesus' way of looking and seeing, and about what becomes possible when we dare to experience his gaze. Again, there's this word experience again. In this story, what makes salvation possible here to Nathanael is not what Nathanael sees in Jesus, but what Jesus sees in Nathanael. And the encounter begins with Jesus going to Galilee, finding Philip and inviting Philip to follow me. Verse 43 finds Philip and says, follow me. Philip accepts the call, and immediately he runs off to find his friend Nathanael. He finds him sitting under a fig tree. And in John 1:45, I love this right here. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, we have found him of whom Moses wrote in the law. We have found him. And look, I get it. We get excited and we say, oh, we found the Lord. I accepted the Lord. I made the Lord king of my heart. I get it. And you know what? I used to want to run around and correct. Oh, we can't say that. You didn't know. We got to be correct. We don't, if you're in the Spirit, you'll quote the King James Bible exactly correct. Guys, I get it. Remember, he's having an epiphany here. There's some excitement going on, not only in Nathanael, later on we'll see, but in Philip, he's excited and he says, hey, we have found him who Moses wrote. But the verse before says Jesus found Philip. And you know what? Jesus didn't go around correcting him and say, oh no, Philip, you've got the order all wrong. I found you and let's get it all right here. And I want you to... I mean, come on. I can just see Jesus smiling. Can you see that? Because this is a story about seeing, and this word here, we have found him. It means I'm looking at hierisco or something. I can't pronounce this Greek stuff. It means to get, the word find, it means get, obtain, regarded. It means perceive, and it means see. Think about that. It's from the Greek 2147, if you want to look that up in the concordance. we have found. And Nathaniel is not impressed. He is just, instead of arguing, Philip simply tells his doubtful friend, come and see. Don't get any arguments. He's too excited. Man, we found him. And, just come and see. And when Nathaniel does come and see, he receives here the surprise of his life. As soon as Jesus lays eyes on him, he sees right into the core, the inner being of Nathaniel. He sees right through him and sees into the soul, let me say it that way, into the soul of Nathaniel, and he names what he sees. Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him. Jesus saw Nathanael. What a statement. Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him. Does this remind you of the father who saw the prodigal son afar off? He saw him. Before the prodigal saw the father saw the son. He saw him a great way off. Oh man, there's something about this scene. Jesus sees Nathanael. And when he sees Nathanael coming to him, he said, here is truly an Israelite in whom there is no deceit. Your King James will say no guile. Man, we could just let that wash over us for a long, long time right there. He names what he sees. This is truly an Israelite in whom there's no deceit. He didn't say, oh my gosh, here comes a wretched poor sinner. Oh, here comes a low-down guy. No. This is what we would say. We're just judging. But remember the prophet Isaiah, he's got discernment. He doesn't have a flat nose. He can discern and he can see. He's not with natural eyes, but he can look into the core. See, seeing is always selective. Seeing is always selective. We have choices. When it comes to what we see and what we prioritize and what we name and what we call out in each other, some people would say, well, he's a glass half empty kind of guy, or he's a glass half full kind of guy. Seeing is always selective. What do you see? What does Jesus see? What does Jesus see? And the selves that we present to the world are layered and they're messy, and it takes both love and patience to sift through those layers to find what lies at the center of who we are. But I'm going to say this as we get ready to close out here. There is great power in the sifting, in the sifting too. Something happens to us when we are deeply seen. Something happened to us when we're deeply known, when we're named, when we're accepted. You will see that throughout the scripture. I mean, a lot of times, Abram, here I am. He would call out the name. Saul, why do you see? I mean, there's something named in the book of Galatians, in the epistle to the Galatians. Paul would write, or maybe it's in Galatians chapter 5, I don't know right off the top of my head, but he says, whether we have known God or are rather known of God. See, I'm talking experiential knowing here. I'm not talking about institutionalized religion, philosophy, culture, none of that stuff. I'm talking about there's something through that. And it takes this sifting and this great power to work through the layers of the mess and everything to see who we really are. That's what Jesus does with Nathanael. That's what he does with us. He sees us coming to him. Remember, the Father sees the prodigal a great way off. He sees him. So, I hope you're enjoying as we go. We got a little bit more to talk about on Friday. Man, I'm enjoying this. I hope you're enjoying this. Like I said, I'm trying to be compact and straight to the point here. So if you're enjoying this WWJS, What Would Jesus See? Come back on Friday and come and see. Tune in, guys. We'll see you Friday. Lord bless. Hey guys, Jim here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I really love bringing these things to you. I just wanted to say, if you really liked it, drop a like. Man, that really helps us out a lot. Hit the share button, subscribe if you want to get notified when they're coming out. We come out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as of right now. We got more teachings on rhythmsofgracecommunityfellowship.com. You can find us right there. On there, you'll find all the links to our podcast on Voice of Truth and Rhythms of Grace Community Fellowship. And it'll also take you to our YouTube for these channels, rhythmsofgracecommunityfellowship.com. You can find everything right there. Again, thank you. Leave us a comment, hit subscribe. Guys, again, thank you so much for watching this. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time. God bless.